Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday Talking Smack. Rob Nelson, Judd Dunning, over Chinese food today. All right, Judd. So we're airing it out. Judd and I have decided this is the anti-show. Right, Judd? It's
the anti-show. That's right. That's right. We're two guys talking about politics over food. Now, bi-coastally, so we're not really sharing food in the same studio. It's better when you were in LA.
Well, you know what? Yes and no. It's true. But what we are actually doing, everybody, is Judd and I are practicing social distancing the way Gavin Newsom and Eric Garcetti would like us to practice it. We are not sharing our food. We are, in fact, thousands of miles apart to prevent COVID transmission. And our food bowls will be separated. In fact, my food bowl is right here. Judd has not even received his food bowl yet to ensure the ultimate safety and integrity and COVID-free nature of the food. And yes, I am making fun of COVID because I'm sick of the hypocrisy.
Yeah, like Fauci just said, his quote of the week, just do what you're told, Rob. Just do what you're told. It's funny, you fled California right before the lockdowns are coming, man.
I got out. I got out.
Spike, right? And you went to Florida. I'm right behind you.
I did. Judd, since you're going to do what you're told, can you move closer to your camera?
Can I move closer to my camera?
Yeah, I feel like you're tiny over there. Like, don't marginalize yourself. Just because you're a conservative Trump supporter, don't marginalize yourself. Step into it.
If I was doing the Make America Great thing, it would be like this, by the way. But that's why I don't want to do this, Rob, because I'm 50. All right, moving on.
Come on, closer. Come on, move in. Don't be ashamed. Don't be shy.
I was going to ask you to back off the camera, actually.
No.
Please.
I'm like the left. I don't back off. I get right in your face.
Yeah. Oh, yes, that is.
Trump supporter. Trump supporter. You know what? I was at a thing, Judd. I was at a really interesting thing last night here in Florida. It was a gathering of some really, really, unique and interesting and prominent people in Jacksonville. We had a sort of a discussion about race off camera, black and white. And it was interesting to me how one guy there is a conservative Republican, black Republican member of the city council here. And it was interesting to me how cautiously, and some business leaders, how cautiously they stepped into the space of talking about Trump. And it bothered me because they were among people that no one was going to yell at them, but the tension you could feel.
President Trump, Rob.
I call him Trump. I've always called him Trump.
No, but I'm just saying, I mean, that illuminates what you're saying to talk about Trump. Like he's not a lame duck, by the way. He could come back. It's President Trump. He's still the president, right?
Okay.
And people are jumping on board. People are already like, oh, well, I don't want to talk. Wait a minute. He's still the president, man. He's still cleaning up the swamp. He's still shutting down Chinese relationships to businesses we shouldn't do business with. He's still arresting people. He's still working on policy.
Which is why we're doing Chinese food.
To celebrate the 31 national large companies, Huawei and everyone else, that Trump now made it illegal to do business with. And suddenly TikTok is trying to stall them being pulled out of our system as well. Yeah.
So back to my point, was interesting how cautiously they stepped into the space of talking about Trump and being Trump supporters. And it made me, I was aware, like, people on the left are not uncomfortable voicing their opinions loudly, and people on the right, and again, this was among a group of people really trying to have a constructive and open conversation, but you could feel like it's almost like, and they were not they're proud of their beliefs, but you could almost feel the need to kind of say, and I'm a Trump supporter, I'm for Trump, and kind of try to say, but isn't there another side to this? And it's always like, I was like, right, we've gotten people pressured to the point that they feel they have to almost, like, you have to almost qualify it to take a step. Don't get mad. Don't lose your shit. I'm instead of just being like, hey, I support Trump. It's like it's automatically, it's almost like you have like a red thing on you, a scarlet letter.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I think what we kind of keep doing is if we're coming to the end or the beginning of a new era, I think we just want to keep pounding the tub on what has he done? Space Force, fighting sex trafficking, turning around China, stopping cruelty to animals, violent crime has come down. He made
stopping cruelty to animals.
Yeah, he actually created a cruelty to animals federal felony. It's called the Preventing Animal Cruelty and Torture Act. I mean, the guy did a lot, right?
You know what, Judd?
He gave $100 million to the EPA to fix water.
You know what, Judd? You're boring me. You're boring me.
I'm glad
you're boring me. You're boring me with the list of accomplishments.
Did well lately. This guy was a great president. Eat your Chinese food, you communist.
Oh, this is some good chicken. Can I just say, you're boring me because I don't want to hear about. Oh, I just spilled Chinese food all over my shirt. Does that mean I'm going to get COVID?
No, you're not going to get COVID. COVID is only killing old people. 33 out of a million of heart affected people and people with comorbidities, and everything else is a distortion. And they've proven in Sweden, throughout Europe, and all these places that lockdowns don't work. Eat away, Rob. Invite friends over. March forward. Be a patriot, for God's sake.
So here's what I want to say.
COVID.
So good. Chinese food is great.
You're welcome. By the way, I plan the food, just so you know, everybody.
So I'm saying you're boring me, Jeb, because
you're like, I don't know if I want to eat Chinese food. Now you're loving your Chinese food.
You're boring me because you're being on like Trump did this accomplishment, this accomplishment.
You did what?
No, let's just be real.
Yeah,
can we be real? Can we be real like we are as friends?
Should we go through all of his achievements?
No, I don't want to hear his achievements.
Okay.
Trump's singular achievement. Because nobody cares. That's the sad truth. Nobody cares what he did or didn't do because people are so blinded. Okay. And the right's going to say he did great things and the left's going to say he did nothing. The truth is, Trump's perhaps singular accomplishment is, and I'm going to put a positive spin on this, is that he shattered the norms of how we operate politically, with media, the whole thing. And he created a pathway that there's enormous division and conflict in that as well. He created a pathway for us to start having a different kind of dialogue and an honest one in which we look at what's really true. Because the truth is, the incremental policy gains here and there aren't what people really get focused on. They get focused on the big picture, and Trump was a big picture guy. Now, that's why so many people hate him and so many people love him. You still got, 70 million people saying millions saying this election was stolen. That's the impact Trump had. I don't know if I articulated that well, but to me, it's like with your book, the impact you have is not the 13 and a half reasons. It's your bigger meta message. Of course, you're going to hold it up. It's your bigger meta message about what you think is important for conservatives. And I want to give you a chance, Judd. I asked you this the other day. I want you in 45 seconds, Instagram world, to tell me why you care and do what you're doing. Why don't you just go back and run your business? Why are you trying? What's important? What's your mission message to the middle of this country that's right now going, what the F is going on to them? Not why liberals suck this. What's your core Judd Dunning, big vision message that you give us? Because I think it's powerful when you say it.
Look, man, truth is simple. America is awesome. I love this country. Our freedom's radical. We don't need our government to get in the middle of our business. As my father said, just tell government to stay out of my goddamn business. I can do it on my own. That's why America started, man. That's why we came over from England. Everybody thinks history doesn't matter. We came over from freedom from religion as well, right? We get to be spiritual people and not be held down. Right now, progression is slowly gnawing at what is ultimately good. We are really lucky. Let me tell you a little story. Once I was in an organization, I changed a prayer structure, and the organization fell apart, and it existed for like 60 years because I tinkered with something that was enduring, good, and true. I didn't know I was messing with the foundation of an organization. I went back later. I apologized to this group of people. I'm like, wow, I should have never changed the format. We lost all of our following because we started to mess with what's already there. So look, all of this kind of is bullshit, right? Because at the same time, big government exists. Big free markets exist. Now it's about a war on disinformation and freedom. But the problem is, man, now there's a radical left. There's a socialist Marxist group of people that have been normalized in our society as not the enemy. I mean, look at the times of McCarthy. These people were actually a threat to our society. Now they're just your friends who happen to be progressive hard leftists, but they're influencing the middle. So things are at risk, man. Things are at risk.
All right. I'm being honest. I just got up and walked out of the bar. I went over my head. I got bored. I want
I'm gonna kill you. You're killing me. What is your point? What do you want me to be? You want me to be who Rob wants me to be, or you want me to tell you what I feel about America?
I want you to tell me what you feel, but I want you to
taking advantage of our freedom. They're whittling away our freedom. One day you're going to wake up. Let me tell you, I can't go get a light bulb down the street because a bunch of people passed a law quietly. I can't put an extra filter in my bathroom. My freedoms are slowly being eroded and lost in the Federal Registry of Laws because people aren't paying attention, bro.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So now you hit it for me, Judd. Thank you. You hit it. The reason why you care as a conservative is Brucey, put Judd back up. Crafty, put him back up. I want to see my face when I say this. Thank you, Bruce. Judd, is that you are essentially saying the power of conservatism in your mind, simplified down, get me if I'm wrong, is your freedoms are getting eroded. They are taking away your freedoms. And the more they take those freedoms away, whether it's COVID, whether it's regulations around business, whether it's, censoring what you can say, they limit your ability to succeed in America, whatever your politics, whatever position you want. That essentially your conservatism is a battle for freedom. Is that fair? If I were to put down to one line, this is a battle for freedom.
Yes, and you don't get my money. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, look, a bunch of guys come into power. Suddenly they want to claim 20 to 30% more of my capital. They haven't earned it. This is a meritocracy. You want to be a good government. You want to do a good job. You want to fuel. Look at California, man. People are running from the state. Down my street, on my house, there's like crowds of homeless people. You can't even run civil order to keep addiction and mental illness off our streets. Yeah, I agree. The rights take on legality, law and order, and justice is safer. It's moral. It's inspirational. It's more exciting. It's better. It's just better. I'm not going to apologize. And people want to call me a racist for being a liberal. We're the original liberals. Liberalness is stay out of my business.
Okay.
Stay out of my business.
Okay.
Live my own life.
So my 60 seconds, my 30 seconds is.
Why are you an independent, Rob? Because you think both sides are contaminated, and the fact that we need to restructure the whole system. But the bottom line is you got to choose left or right. I think independents are the pussies because you got to choose.
You did. Well, you answered the question for me and concluded on it. You sound a little like CNN right there, to be honest. But I'll tell you, Jake Tapper, if you want to let me actually answer the question.
Yeah.
Or you want to answer for me and tell me what I am because of it.
Well, come on, man. You came out guns a-blazing. I haven't eaten my Chinese food.
I'm just saying, is it Jake Tapper or Judd Dunning? I'm mixing them up.
We're going to have a chat today about what we think about everything. But go ahead.
Can I see the CNN logo behind you where you tell me what I think?
I am going to crush you like a bug when you're talking about CNN. Well, I can call it racist.
So now you're Don Lemon? Are you the white Don Lemon now?
Go ahead.
It's simple. It's I do hate both political parties. They're both corrupt. Both parties are corrupt. They are bankrupt. They care more about staying in power and their institutional mechanisms than they do about what's really best for the American people. They talk a lot and don't do a lot. And the reality is, if you're an American out there right now, left, right, or center, the reality is we are losing our ability. We are losing our freedom to communicate, in getting stuck in this. You have to think what I think or you're bad, in letting our government overextend. And we'll get into the hypocrisy in a minute of that, how they overextend control on you, but not on themselves. You are losing the single most important thing we have, which is the freedom to disagree, the freedom to debate, the freedom to find common ground, and to learn to live in a world in which you can't just be one side or the other. We don't live in a binary world anymore. So everybody needs to stop being binary. But the biggest irony of the left is they want non-binary when it comes to gender. You don't be man, woman, be nothing, be in between. We're going to change the pronouns, but they want total binary when it comes to my view or your view. You have to agree with my binary view about not being binary. It's absurd.
I like smacking the camera. That was good timing.
Let's get post-partisan.
Look, let's just talk about ECP man 215. He said, "Eat the rich." Look, here's the problem. Nothing's guaranteed in this society. If you get a come to America, it's not a privilege. It's not a right. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to come and join this experiment that's worked so well. And there's a lack of gratitude through entitlement, and there's a lack of expectation. Then we want to tear everybody down that's in excellence because we want to redistribute wealth. Government is taking care of other people that are complaining. We're not that systematic. If we were racist, we're much less systematically racist, and we've grown a lot. Most people can go out and move from state to state, get a little help, and they can find their way to a decent job, and they can make a living if they practice excellence. Most people have enough moral support to be good and to be great. Look, this is North Korea right now. Can you? This is North Korea right now. People are stepping on our freedoms. We can't even get real news. We can't even get real big tech. And the left is not going to protect us.
Okay. It's not North Korea.
Are you kidding me, man? I send out a tweet right now, censored 10 times. This is the worst free speech we've ever had in the United States.
I agree with you.
Things are more deconstructive, and it is the responsibility of the left. The right is not perpetuating this dialogue.
Do you want to whack your
nice for you, Rob?
Do you want to whack your camera a little to show you're worked up? It's not.
You're pushing me to vent my frustration. I will. I think it's stolen.
Let it out.
I'm sick of racism.
I'm your independent here, willing to take your confession and your fury. I don't think it's North Korea, but I agree with you that it's censorship like we've never seen. And I agree with you that hold on.
Post this last comment as he speaks, please. Bruce, post the last comment from Taylor. No, the other one. It says, Taylor says, just as you're speaking, there is a censor on your video that says U.S. elections, the AP is called the presidential race for Joe Biden. We're actually being censored. You're saying we're not headed toward North Korea? Are you kidding me?
No, we're not headed toward North Korea, Judd. We're not headed toward North Korea.
Of course, it's a total blackout communist nation. I understand politics.
Okay, come on. You want to win the middle? Here's my argument to conservatives, Judd. If you want to win the middle,
I don't want to.
You know what? You need to be, because you're going to need to win the middle and then the left. Otherwise, you're just going to. Do you want to be right, or do you want to actually make a difference?
Actually, right now, to protect our freedoms, I do want the rights to sustain and power. Is that okay? Is that all right?
Yes, but what I want, Judd, is people to realize, here's my thing with both sides, but I'm going to say your side because I think you have so much right about what you're saying, no pun intended, is that in going to the extreme, the hyper extreme, you lose the credibility that so many people actually would acknowledge if you said, you know what, we're not North Korea. Hold on. We're not North Korea, but we are censoring a free democracy in a way it's never been censored, and that is dangerous. The election wasn't stolen outright, but there was corruption, and and the fact that you can't even talk about fraud and have it not be censored should scare everyone. To me, I'm not trying to be reasonable. I'm trying to actually keep people focused, because the minute you go into it's the same as the left. Trump is an evil, demonic, Trump is an evil, demonic authoritarian who's going to destroy the Constitution. Every time I heard that, I was like, shut up. You've just gone to the extreme. I don't buy it anymore. The Constitution.
What extreme am I going to? What did you see?
North Korea. Saying we're North Korea.
Elizabeth Warren is Secretary of the Treasury. Bernie Sanders for Secretary of Labor. Rashid Tlaib. There's the hit list of possible non-moderates. It's going to be a war of ideas at this point. Kamala Harris is far from a centrist, and Joe is enjoy your food. I'm starving.
It's important to eat to calm yourself down. And
it's not only that, man. You have to look at how the executive pen. Look, we read my healthcare was $787, Rob. It's $2,800. $2,800 now for the same services that I had before they came in and they messed up healthcare. Look, we've now got people. We got cancel culture. We've got people like acute. Look at BLM's violence at the Freedom Park last night.
I agree.
The right doesn't act that way. We are the adults in the room. I'm tired of the progressive left experiment is going to end up in the same failure it did, which is sluggish growth in a suffering populace. Nobody wants to give up their freedom in America.
Listen. I like the comment up on the screen. Lead with common ground and build from there. That's what I've been saying. And Judd, you can dismiss it, and that's fine. But the reality is, if we don't lead with common ground, nobody wins. So you can be right, Judd. You can be 100% right, and we all lose. And my point is, if you're not willing to lead with a common ground, The left isn't going to lead with the common ground. They've made that clear. So I'm putting the challenge out there to conservatives, to the right, to say, you guys lead with the common ground. The left isn't going to do it. The left is not going to lead with common ground. They've made their case. We are going to do a scorched earth approach. But the right has a chance to lead with common ground. And they can win an enormous number of voters, an enormous number of minds, an enormous number of hearts. And if you really want your agenda to succeed, if you really want to protect freedom, I'm begging you, Judd, lead with common ground. That's all I'm asking. Lead with common ground.
I know, but I will say, Rob, look, you're putting it out there that I'm just rationally discussing our concern, our worry about going back to an Obama-like policy era under Biden. The good news is, look, if the Senate is stolen, this is a really serious issue. If the courts are packed, this is a really serious issue. Because once you put in structures, it's very hard to roll them back. Listen, FDR's New Deal failed to get us out of the Depression. War eventually did. How we got back control of our country from this whole element of taking over and big government was 75% of that was struck out as unconstitutional later to get control back. Like the war on poverty didn't work. Big government doesn't work.
Okay.
We've already got enough big government.
Okay. So, all right. So I'm going to lose this argument with you for today, but I'm coming back to getting, my goal is going to be get conservatives to lead with common ground. But Judd, I want to switch gears.
What is the common ground, Rob?
What's that? I just told you what the common ground is.
I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I'm telling them to bring my Chinese food that I ordered. So hold on.
I'm switching gears. You're ordering Chinese food. Because our show isn't as long today. Yeah. So Bruce Crafty, I'm going to have you put up in a second a screenshot that I have of a text, but it's a thing from my news feed that I want y'all to see. But Judd, in honor of Chinese food, I want to talk about COVID for a minute.
Wait, I do want to finish the last point, Rob. You're not going to pivot on me yet.
No, I'm pivoting.
Huh?
We're done. I'm pivoting.
No, I'm not. I'm not moving on. I'm not moving on. Sorry. This is the anti-show. I don't have to follow. The anti-show. I don't have to follow. You're not the host. This is a co-host show.
You talk about your thing. I'll talk about mine.
No.
COVID.
No, I'm not.
You know what, Juddy? I'll do you better. Hold on. I'll do you a favor. My pivot will lead into your point. Okay.
This guy's asking, what is this? Because you're going to let me finish my point. My point is like, you show me what the center is, what middle common ground is right now intelligently, and I will comment on whether it's achievable. Because right now you're putting me in a box that I'm some kind of right-wing guy.
This is.
You know what? This is I'm just a normal American guy who likes government.
Judd, don't be defensive. What is this? This is talking smack.
You're going to do an unplugged show, and you're pushing me, and I'm pushing back.
Referee, eject him. This is talking smack with Judd and Rob. We call talking smack over mac and cheese, and we change the food group each time, and we have an anti-show where we just dialogue. And Judd and I are friends, but we like to have a real debate. And Judd, I will answer your question after I move to the COVID of what the common ground is. The COVID issue, and I want to bring it up, and we're having Chinese food that wasn't intentional, but I love the fact that, you can't say it's a China virus, that you're a racist if you say that, which again, I want to point out my focus here is the hypocrisy. The China virus is something that CNN said all the time. They said the China virus, they literally, you have clips of them calling it the China virus, Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, whoever. And then suddenly when Trump called it the China virus, it was a racist thing. That's an example of how we censor thought. But the hypocrisy that really bugs me, Judd, is what happened in California when Governor Newsom went to a party at a super expensive French restaurant for like $400 a plate before you get your drinks and all that for a political lobbyist, a birthday party. They brought multiple households, over a dozen people into a restaurant. They got caught. And my fury is not just that they did it and they got caught, but that his response was, I guess I didn't really practice the best social policies. And my double fury comes from what I have here.
What am I watching? Tell him what he's watching.
You're watching Talking Smack over Mac and Cheese. This is the unfiltered anti-show where we go and Judd and I He's a conservative, I'm an independent, and we just tear up what's going on in front of us and in the world. It's a little chaotic, but it's meant to like stimulate you and get you thinking. So, Bruce, can you put up the comment? We have two of them from Eric Garcetti, the mayor of LA, responding to Gavin Newsom's. It's tiny. All right. So he says it's about you and your behavior, getting people like, we really need to get people to cancel their vacation plans right now. Don't bring other households to Thanksgiving. Have chicken instead of turkey. Bruce, put the one before that up for a second. And what he says is his defense of Gavin Newsom is we miss each other. We want to spend time. So, we once in a while, we make a mistake. Now, you know what, Judd? This is where my fury comes out. Eric effing Garcetti and Mayor Gavin Emperor Newsom. Literally, Newsom, he knew what the rules were. He didn't give an F what the rules were. He didn't realize he shouldn't do it. He's like, I'm going to have besides which I'm going to have like a gazillion-dollar party. Don't mention all the people who are out of work. I'm going to do this because I can. So you can't. You stay home. You don't have people over for Thanksgiving. You lose your business. I'm going to go about my life and have fun. I'm going to do what I want. And when he gets caught, instead of being like, what I did was unconscionable, it was hypocritical, and you're right, I took advantage because I can, he just acts like he made a small mistake. And Eric Garcetti doubles down on it and says, it's a tough, tough day that he had to admit he did that. We all make mistakes. You know what? This is why you're right, Judd, because they know full well what they're doing, and they give themselves the freedom and the room to do what they want and go, oh, I made a mistake when I get caught. Oh, I didn't follow the rules because they didn't need to. Oh, Mayor Lightfoot goes to a protest in Chicago. You know what? It was going to happen anyway, and sometimes we got to let it out. So it's okay for them to do it, and that's why people should be scared. If you let the power structure tell you what you can do, when you can do it, what you can say, what you can't say, they will abuse that every time for their own self-interest. And the fact that they do that should prove to you that it's deadly and dangerous to let them have that kind of control on you. That's what I wanted to say, Judd. Got me all worked up.
I love it, man. Look, I just posted something. The most important thing I think that people don't want to, they'll call this incompassionate. This to go back to our whole theme earlier is that, our economy's dropped 10% or 33% on an annualized basis. At the peak of Trump's prosperity push for America, the average American was still a paycheck or two. From the 40% of Americans couldn't handle $1,000 crisis without, being at threat of being on the street, right? So this isn't just about the hypocrisy of one liberal elite who's putting out feel-good policies that he's not following himself, just like Nancy Pelosi did with her mask. This is about destroying and redistributing wealth for political power. They would have never won. Think about, dude, Newsom has eyes on the White House. So does Garcetti. Those guys are angling to be, they want to be like Giuliani. They eventually want to make their run for the presidency. They don't give a damn about us Los Angelinos. I actually started the first protest in Los Angeles called Open LA Now and Safely. We had 200 cars rolling around Garcetti's house. He doesn't care. He didn't come to the window. He didn't try to connect with us and say, hey, what's going on with the people here? That guy just had 10 or 15 armed guards around the house, tuned out, pulled his drink. So we all know who Garcetti and Newsom are, and the science doesn't support this. But I'm going to tell you, some people need to die to keep America open. Some people need to die. Oh, he said it. Did you say that? Some people may need to die. That's okay. A society dies when viruses come through. Hundreds of years we've had viruses come through. People have gone crazy. This is more than hypocrisy. This is despotism and tyranny. I can't stand these guys.
Well, it's fear is what it is. And I'm gonna
political career.
You say people need to die. I'm gonna frame it differently. I'm gonna say
people need to die. People will die as a result.
Obviously people will die. I'm gonna frame it differently. The reality is, and I've said this before, and I said it from the beginning, and science does back it up. And when people say you're not following the science, I want to be clear. There is no the science. Science is a process of lots of different things, and science can have multiple views on things. You can have multiple takes on how you look at something. But the science, in this case, part of what the science, quote unquote, has shown is that this disease primarily kills older people and it kills sick people. Hold on. That's tragic. That's terrible. And ultimately, you want to protect those people as best you can. But I think most of us are realizing that if you shut down the entire economy, if you shut down the ability for millions of other people to function who will not most likely die from this, who will most likely be just fine, they won't die. They'll actually probably not even be that sick. You are destroying their lives in a different way. You are destroying their income. You're destroying their ability to live. You're destroying their ability to mental health. You're pushing up their drug addiction. You're pushing up suicide. You're pushing up poverty rates across the world. The damage to that will kill 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times more people over the next decade than what COVID will kill. And that's a sad truth. And it's a good thing that this disease fundamentally does prey on the weakest. It's not good. I mean, it's not good like that, but it's better that it's not a disease that just kills off everybody. And, basically, if we go outside, we're going to die. And I think that's my point, is not that it's not real, not that it's not tragic. We need to do our best to protect the vulnerable. And we tried that, and they still died. 30% of deaths were in nursing homes. Isolated population. So the point is, you got to get back to living, and it's a choice an individual should get to make. If you don't want to be out, don't be out. If you want to be out and practice being out safely. And the elites have proven that that's what they do. So stop buying into the notion that, no, I have to do this to save other people. Well, Gavin Newsom didn't think he had to do it to save other people. Chris Cuomo didn't think so when he had COVID and went down the street to his new house with friends. Mayor Lightfoot didn't think she had to do it. Oh, well, we need to get out once in a while. All the people protesting, they didn't. So don't buy their BS. They don't think they need to do it for them. Then they don't get to tell you need to do it for you. That's it.
You see what Fauci said, though? He said that, we're possibly going to be in lockdowns until the third quarter of 2021.
Yep.
I mean, come on, man. That is such a check. I mean, Trump, I think if he stays in, I think he's going to pull federal funding and force people to let it open. Now, what is that? How do you do that in care? How do you do that in care? If you want to get government support and you're old or comorbid or just young and scared, you can do so. Everybody else gets to wash your hands,
right,
go back to work, keep distance. You may have a choice. I'm into individuals. Right. It's like smoking. You want to destroy your health, which, then smoke. It's fine.
Amen. Hey, Judd, we only got a couple minutes left. Someone asked us to talk about election fraud. I don't know. I didn't see it popped up quick, but then Bruce put it back up. But let's talk about it quick. 2 minutes, Judd. You are still holding on to the if Trump wins. Are you ready today to just go, look, he's really not going. Maybe he should win. Maybe it has been stolen. That's your view, but he's not going to win. Or do you still actually honestly think he could win? Be honest.
Our shows, Rob has been so kind to help me take my other show, Bullet Point Nation, to this similar online format. It's right after this, which it's not going to be. We're going to go back to a late night slot. We're going to talk a lot about that today, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'll just say this.
Well, it's a quick question, yes or no. Do you think he could still win?
Right, and Lynn, a couple of the attorneys have done a pretty good analysis, and then PJ Media came out. PJ Media was like, well, here's all the litigation, and here's why it's true, but we may not win. But then PJ Media is actually owned by IBM, and IBM is a contributor to
Judd, I understand. I don't want to make you dive deep. I want to try to get a one-word answer from you. Do you still think Trump can win? Just yes or no. Do you think he can actually win?
Yes. If we choose justice.
Yes. No, just yes. You say yes. Okay. Fine. So you still think
it's very, very attractive. I don't know if you're frozen right now, but
do you think he will win?
Do I think Trump will win? I think he got the votes. I think he should win.
No, not should. Will
win. Oh no! Look, I'm in the 70-30. I'm in the 70-30 camp. 70% wins if justice is allowed to function. Okay.
We each get 40 seconds before we wrap to talk about election fraud. I'm not trying to be in control. I'm just looking at our clock. Is that fair? You go, and because someone's asked us to just talk a little about election fraud. So I have a quick half minute on it. You got to just sort of a quick picture of where we're at.
Right, in detail. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want detail. I want short.
Yeah, but I mean, you want me to go or you want you to go?
You go first, because then I can cut you off when you go too long.
The way that it seems to have affected is that if there was definitely software relative to this process. If the software wasn't working and throwing the vote, then there were about 7 or 8 strategies that came at the same time. it appears to, over like 14 direct affidavits from polling areas, we have some real deep graft that's happened on a lot of levels. But we're in the middle of a media and big tech censor shutdown, even from some people on the right that are just leaning towards stability. So I think Trump has a 70% chance, if justice functions, of winning. And I think he was the rightful president in this election.
Okay. So very well, said to your talking points, Juddy.
Real.
Yeah. I don't think the real Judd 100%. I think there's a Judd. I think there's a Judd underneath that's got, again, I think you believe that, but I think there's a Judd underneath that has a more human take on this. I'm going to be what I think the take is. There was fraud in this election. Are you frozen, Judd?
No.
Okay, you're just frozen. Listen, you're so wrapped in attention. There was fraud in this election. And anybody who says, Judd will address where the information is coming from in a second. And by the way, if people keep asking for information, I'm going to encourage you to go to more right-leaning news media to check out some of the data. Again, just because it's right doesn't mean it's lies. Go to Newsmax, go to Breitbart, go independently and look if you're trying to see. When I say there was fraud, you literally have to be blind to not realize there was fraud. There's fraud every election. There was more fraud this election, not because, put down your bias, not because Democrats are evil. Because when you allow mail-in balloting and you don't require signature checks and you mail everybody a ballot, whether they live there anymore or not, your voting registers are off, people have moved, you are creating a climate that's ripe for fraud. And people will take advantage of it. It's human nature. They will cheat and steal to get something. Not everyone, but lots of people. So then you can actually see tons of evidence of actual fraud. I don't know if that fraud, as I've said, was enough to change the outcome of this election. It may or may not have been. I don't think it was. I think the fact that it was baked in the cake by doing mail-in balloting that you were going to essentially get Democrats more votes, which isn't fraud to me, but they played the system. If there had been no COVID, Trump's president by a landslide. I mean that. But I do think denying there was fraud, denying people the right to talk about fraud, shutting down stop the steal when it has 500,000 people on Facebook and saying it's illegitimate is a version of fraud. The big fraud right now is the media fraudulently telling you that there's no basis to question anything and telling anybody who does we're silencing you. That is the bigger fraud in this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, my take. We've seen that through the whole Trump organization is the devolution of American media. I mean, everybody.
But I'm just saying, to me, that's the actual biggest fraud we're getting right now.
Everything's repressive. Everything's unequal. Everything's corporatist. Come on, man. The lies just keep. So this is just another part of a narrative repression that we've been going through for years.
Just take up that question. We only got 2 minutes left, but take it up because again, people say things like, "Where are you getting your info? Why aren't the cases sticking?" And some of them are, and some of them aren't. So go ahead and give him a short answer that actually makes sense to him.
If you want to look at there's a good article on PJ Media tracking every case. That's not true. Why are any of cases? Some of them are sticking actually. We are getting an effective challenge of throwing out late balancing. We are getting effective inquiries. Barr has just started an inquiry. So you can go through every state, and a couple of them are sticking. So they layered it with heavy litigation to try to stop the steal. That's the whole point of our campaign is stopping the steal. Look, they think the actual amount of votes. They're saying, oh, we don't have the 16 million. They're talking about 428,000. Additional votes in PA. I mean, if you really look at how effective, if you take the software, you take the changing of ballots, they're going through each state, and the numbers are much greater than what's being represented on centrist and right-wing media. But the thing is, you can see all of it. I tried today to go through all the censorship. You go to all the censorship, it's just people just telling you you're an idiot.
Well, that's my closing thought on it all, Judd. My biggest issue is not, again, if you're out there, not whether or not you think there was fraud, there wasn't fraud, whether you think Trump did or didn't, Biden did or didn't, the Dems did or didn't. Put that all aside, everybody. The fact that you can't say you think there was fraud, the fact that you can't say you think Trump should win, the fact that you're not allowed, that Facebook will shut down 500,000 people who do it, that CNN will literally frame everything as the discredited steal the fraud movement, that should scare you. That's the fraud. Because the reality is you're allowed to have and should have, we should have an honest, discourse where two sides can, it's almost like a kangaroo court. If you went into court and said, someone said you did something, you said I didn't, they're like, you're not allowed to say you didn't. No, but I didn't. You're not allowed to say that. It's like a one-sided thing. The whole point's you can have two sides, and one side's being told you're not even allowed to have your side. Your side has been officially invalidated. And my last thought on that is, for those of you who get worked up, December 14th is the day the president is selected by the electors at the House of the Electoral College. Up until December 14th, there is no formally declared president. Yeah. And the media can declare that person, but they have legally until December 14th to legally challenge, to ask for recounts where they're legally allowed, and to say whatever they want. They don't have to concede to Joe Biden. Trump doesn't have to concede until December 14th when the electors actually cast their vote. That is the Constitution. That is the law. That is the way it was set up.
And then validated on the 6th when the Congress comes back.
Yeah. So that for everyone out there is furious and frustrated on the left, that's the law. That's the law that you live under too. That says December 14th, they vote, they cast their ballots, and up until then, any legal challenges are allowed. That would be true if Trump had won on the face of it, and Biden people were saying he had it. So Biden's technically not president yet. And Trump has every right to challenge it. But more importantly, millions and millions of people who voted for him have every right to question and look and examine. And we all should examine whether or not it happened or didn't.
And the meta conversation, it's just, we're flipping it over. They're saying we're stalking the people that are supporting the Trump challenge. The left is starting to look for the sycophants and the toadies, they call us on. Now, the new word for deplorable is like we're sycophants, we're in deniers, we're like Holocaust deniers because we're asking for just an inquiry to validate before you can come over to Biden because it seems like it's irrational, right?
So, Judd, I love doing this with you, by the way, and I'm going to leave it. I want to throw out one.
Man. I want to reach through today and strangle Rob.
Come on, come get me, Judd. Come on. Do I get a little kiss on the cheek, Judd?
Look, man, I think if you I'm telling you, if you just sit down with your fellow Americans and try not to go to the place that you and I are going to right now and continue to have that discussion of why is it possible. You're saying, like, I felt like you made me jump. As we wrap up the show, I mean, you made me jump into a position I actually seek to understand first. I want to know where other people are coming from. I do see middle ground, but you're pushing me to the right-wing talking points of, I'm disgusted with the system, and I'd like to see it not roll back.
I get it. And before we go, because Bruce Crafty put up this comment, you sound like a bunch of crybabies grasping at any straw because you can't handle
hold on. You can show up to court. You can show up to every election state. You can show up to every ballot before you grab your fake news off the media and drop this like hate bomb on here because you don't have any more information than we do or anybody does because there's a filter on justice. That is exactly what people cry babies because you want to challenge justice. You know what? I will cry over the Constitution sustaining in this country.
All right. But here's the reality.
What is that?
Here's the reality. I want to say this to Rob Loaf or Cobb Loaf. Judd, you may be being a crybaby. I am not being, and I've said before hold on. Let me. Hey, can I finish? Can I finish the thought? And I've said before, the Dems cried mercilessly when Trump won, which again, though, is why they shouldn't be so upset now with the right crying. But my point isn't about whether he won or lost. So if you're not hearing that, I'm going to re-say it. It's not about whether it happened or didn't happen. It's about the fact that you're not allowed to say it did. You're not allowed to question it. The same way you're not allowed to go have Thanksgiving dinner in California and have 10 people over, but Gavin Newsom, the governor, can go have dinner at a fancy restaurant with 20 people. It's the hypocrisy and the silencing and the censoring. It's that the Daily Wire writer who posted that we should go to court because there was enough information to investigate got censored by Twitter saying it was false information. I'm not upset about whether Trump won or lost. I'm not a crybaby like 2016 Dems. I'm furious that our media and our social platforms are telling us that there was only one right conclusion and only one set of facts you can discuss and only one opinion you can have on that. And if you don't share it, we will censor you. And Cobb Loaf, that should scare you because there will come a time where they will censor you back and your tweet, your comment right there will get banned. That's what scares me. I'm not crying. I'm furious and on a warpath for free discussion.
Yeah,
that's my last thought. I'm done with that, Judd. I'm good.
Good show. By the way, I ordered Chinese from LA Vegan on Sentinel in Venice, and it's late for the show. So get your orange chicken at LA Vegan, just so I make sure I fill up my tag of the show.
Hey, guys, by the way, hey, part of this is just having dialogue is fun. We got this show, Smack and Cheese, every Sunday. Judd does Bullet Point Nation. I do Rob Nelson Live, my live streams. We're trying to have conversations. You know, don't get angry. I get worked up. You get worked up. I love that. But I mean, again, you know,
myself. To be honest, this is an experiment. I brought the show up to you, Rob, because you've done, you've run network, et cetera, for many years. But like, what if you just talk like people? And that's where we want to keep going. It's not easy. It's not easy for you either, by the way. You can get into being talk show host.
Yeah, it's so, you know what? I was at this thing last night, and a news anchor in here put it together, and we joked, he and I both, we have the tendency to want to be the talk show host. You want to like direct the conversation. That's just built into how we are. But that's what I love about this, Judd, that we're getting to where we're starting to be able to just have it.
More organic that we can keep this, like I wouldn't scratch my arm on a president. I just want to tell you guys that our show, if you're on my network, our next show's coming up in about 15 minutes. I'm going to put on a suit and get ready for that one. And I'm going to eat some Chinese.
And Judd, just because Bruce put it up. So Bruce, no more comments after this one. Are you questioning any of the states that went red? Yes or no? Are you questioning any of them, Judd?
Steal, and we don't need to burn or destroy or pillage or riot. So we just play fair ball. So
okay, that's a no. Wait, is that a no?
It's a no.
Okay, my answer is again same point. North Star line drawing. I'm not questioning whether it did or didn't happen. I'm saying enough people are saying something happened that we should look at it, and I'm questioning the fact that you're told you can't question it. So go ahead and question the red states.
I'll say this.
Go ahead and point Trump out for whining every time he doesn't get what he wants. Wait, the media does point out every time Trump whines or complains. He should be able to whine and complain. So should the left, but so should conservatives and so should the right. That's all I'm saying. Everybody should get a chance to what they want.
I wouldn't say that it's not possible that a Dominion-like package might have been used by the Bush administration, because the Bush administration has really come out as anti-Trump, really institutionalized. I don't think the Trump administration needed to use any adjustments. So, hey, buddy, I got to.
We got to go. We're done. I'm done with you, Judd, for today. I love you, man. I love you. Follow our shows. Follow at Rob Nelson Live. Follow at Bullet Point Nation. Share and like it. Even if you don't agree with us, share the conversation. Be part of it. We're trying to really create a dialogue that we're not having in the mainstream media, and we need to be having. Right, Judd?
Amen.
Amen. Love you, brother.
God bless America. We'll see you guys next week.